Okay, been a while, but I've got 3 vintage tenors in the shop at the moment, and 3 nice ones, 2 really nice ones. So this is sort of SBA Mark 6 cuss tenor, lovely thing. Selmer, obviously. This is going to be first on the bench. It's pro player's horn. So this is, yeah, got a few things, so we're going to go through those and what we're going to do on that. This is a nice King Super 20 with modified crook. So this is it's the second, like a third horn to someone, same as the guy who owns a Selmer. So that's going to be in for a titivate and get it playing nicely. And then last but not least, we've got this King Kielworth New King, which are nice horns actually. Okay, so sort of a mid-range vintage horn. So we're going to be looking at these 3 beasties, setting them up and dealing with a few problems on them. Okay, so the first horn I said we're going to be looking at is the on the cuffs SBA Mark 6 tenor. In for a few things. I've recently done a spring on it, G sharp spring, but that's true with old horns and springs and things, they can go at any time. So the key thing we're going to do first of all is investigate where this spring has gone on here. The owner also wants the plateau sort of set up to lift higher, so his E's and F's and F sharps speak out a bit more. A lot of the classic sort of things really. B flat, Biz, not quite sitting down enough, so we're going to look at that. And then just do a general, because the guy's saying that it splits on E and F, low E, low F. It's getting some split notes on there. So yeah, so we're just going to have a little investigate, generally do a general setup on it, but specifically look at those key things. Okay, so I'm starting with that D sharp, side key, D sharp. Luckily for me, this horn's been totally overhauled in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, so everything seems to be coming undone nicely. But yeah, as expected, you can see that the spring has split, causing it to have no tension whatsoever. For those interested, this is the digits on this is 547, the first one. So any buffs you can look out and work out what year this horn is. It's arguably a re-lacquer, but it's a lacquer done really well, and sort of like, yeah, more likely many years ago, so done to sort of traditional ways. So this is going to be the first one, checking out the spring, seeing if we could got some good replacements, and hopefully that spring screw will come off as easy as all the others. Okay, so change the spring. As all with the springs, it's not just, you know, putting good quality springs on, it's also getting the feel right. So I try and balance the feel of this one to this one. So you can see they sit, the spring has to sit in the guide here, so I've cleaned all that up. Spring's a little bit longer than the other one, but I'd rather have that sitting through that guide. It's got the right sort of shape here to just sort of like spring and ride on the body. I did try a shorter one, which had a nice enough feel to it, maybe even better to the tension, but it was just a little bit too short. It wasn't coming into those guides through. So this is the one I'm going for. So we'll stick it back on. Get in there, nice and simple. Make sure it's sitting through the guide. Everything is in there. Like I say, luckily for me, this horn has been overhauled within the last 5 years. No little history of the horn as well. So it was sat for about 15 years under a bed somewhere doing nothing, which is more likely why it's in such a nice condition. So just nip up the rod in here, sit in between there. That's snappy, maybe just a little bit lighter, but we'll see how it fits when I put the other one on, how they all go together. So happy with that, good quality spring on there. And I say, this guy is a pro player and he doesn't need to letting him down. So on to the next bits. Okay, so next step is to investigate the plateau setup, so you can see the plateau if you're doing front E's and F's and F sharps and altissimos. We're pushing the altissimo or the plateau key here, and you can see the F opening up here. So what we want is to push that down and that F to open up to about here. So the adjustments for it are here. You can see that when the plateau goes down, it hits the bar here, comes across to here. So we've got a little bit of cork under there, which can't really be adjusted because obviously the F's got to open up right, and we can't, if we adjust the cork here, it's going to lift and keep that open. If I adjust the cork here, then we've got to still make sure that this has got room to move down, which I think we can, looking at that, because this works independently to the plateau key. But when you're hitting the plateau, you've still got to make sure that these, the B and C there, are closing. Yeah, so that's going to be the investment. That's going to be the investigation point. And obviously I have also got here this adjuster here, so we're going to have a play around with it, and I'll let you know what's worked. So talking about this, you know, the plateau fingering part, I thought, well, let's actually hear how the sax plays. So if I go up through the palm keys, he sounds a bit stuffy compared to the rest, but palm key to plateau. You hear it's really sort of nasally, it is stuffy. So that's what we're trying to do. So a little bit of investigation. I think I'm going to get away with just raising the thickness, making the thickness of the cork here about double, and it'll also take up, there's a nice, the horrible sort of like play, you got that much movement sort of there to there before it hits the mechanism, hits the bar. Not nice. You're going to feel that under your fingers. It's one thing I'm trying to do when I set horn up, not just to make it obviously sound the best way it can, but it's making it feel nice, because I think a lot of players, again, if your sax feels nice when you play it, and this is again the thing with the Selmers and the Mark 6s, and that era especially, is it's just the way they play. They're light, but they've got a nice firm sort of way playing about them. So yeah, taking out that play hopefully will not only make it obviously sing out better on that top E and top F, maybe a little bit more, but it is gonna make the sax feel better when you're doing that sort of like that movement. Cool. Okay, so I've taken the link between the plateau and the F key off. You can see the thickness on the cork here, very, very thin. Now maybe the guy originally done this, because obviously there's not a lot of purchase on there. He didn't want too thick a cork in there in case it just gets rocked off. But you can also see the wear here, where the roller, adjustable roller's gone through the cork, so that's more likely, maybe at the beginning it wasn't so noticeable, but basically until that has worn through, again, disadvantage of using a thinner cork. But I'm going to about double the thickness, if not over, so I'm going to put a bit of cork on there that's just a little bit too thick, and like I say, just to get the feel on it right, then I can sand it down and use the adjuster to get the feel nice and tight as well. No sort of like play in the key in the action. Okay, so cork cut and stuck on and then shaped to fit the key. Anybody who knows about the really gets into the cork work and stuff like that will know about sort of like the French cuts. So if you look on the bottom of the cork work on a good quality instrument, they taper all the edges, even underneath. They don't just leave a square cut. They what I call a French cut. So more likely coming from Selmer is they actually just taper the edge of the cork. I've tried to get that on there as neat and as nice as possible. That's the thickness. I'm going to try that. I might get lucky. That might be the right thickness, or I may have to just sand down a little bit to make sure I get it 100%. Okay, well, I got lucky, I think. That thickness just seems to be right. And even where I had the roller adjusted back to about the midpoint on the adjustment, hopefully you can see that that is opening up nice now. So if we go D sharp 3 using the palm keys, fear on that now in a way is that the plateau setup actually speaks more open than the what should be perfect, if you think about it, the palm key and side key version of the top E. So when the owner comes to collect it, I'll get him to check that out. Because it may be now that top E is just on the sharp side in comparison to the side one. So it may be a case that using the adjuster, I can actually just step this, you know, the F that opens on the plateau. I may just want to fine tune that and step it down just a fraction closer to the tone hole when it's open, which may sort of just marry the tuning on those up the same, but it's definitely speaking out really nice now. So I'm going to leave it for the moment. When the guy comes to pick up the horn, he can check it out and we can make any fine tuning if we need to. So the next one is the B flat, biz, the long B flat, not biz, sorry, the long B flat. Just to get that to close, it's more likely just a fraction of air coming out of there, which obviously working down this bottom part of the horn, the linkages there, it's where us guys spend most of our times trying to get the horn set right, trying to get that B flat biz, B flat, long B flat may upset all the lower end down here just because of the good old adjustment part here. So yeah, that's the next challenge. Okay, so as predicted, that's the B flat. You can see that with a gentle touch down there, it's sealing nice. The pad's actually nicely lined up, but when you do it with the long mechanism, that's closed. That's you can see that the light here, sort of there, that's what we've got to lose, and that's just making that long B flat a little bit stuffy. So we've got to get that to close down without upsetting the low end of the instrument. Okay, so I've been looking at the long B flat, and a true to form, as soon as you get it adjusted down that the long B flat works, then it messes up the bottom stack. So this is the adjustment screw for the long B flat. It had plenty of cork on it, but I've redone the cork thicker, and now I'm going to do something picked up off Boston Sax, hopefully, and that is doming the end of it, so you get more of a pinpoint accuracy. So I'm hoping that's going to allow me to get the long B flat more accurate. And I've noticed anyway, without the B flat end and the G sharp adjustment on it, the F isn't sitting the F sharp isn't sitting where it should sit anyway. So I'm going to get this right and then look at the bottom stack. Hopefully this little trick is going to make it better. Okay, so adjusted up the long B flat, and I'm going to use that as my starting point. You know, when you're setting these keys up here, the ones that are all linked and the adjustments and everything, you get one right and then the others are now wrong. So I'm going to make this my starting point, getting the B flat long, right, or long B flat right, and then I'm going to redo the cork on the G sharp. So I know that that's working the best it can, and then I think I'm going to have to make some adjustments to the F sharp here, but on the sound, there's now no difference with there's no sort of like give in that key, even when I give it a tap. Interesting to see how the 3 B flats work, the A and the side key and the two long B flats, the difference in sound. Matt Storer sort of done a whole vid on this. How do you balance the 3? Well, your A side key should be perfect. This hole here can be put wherever they want on the sax, which means that's should be the B flat. You've got to make sure that's right. Some people, he was stating the fact that some people try and balance all B flats so they sound the same, and maybe lower this or open it up more to get the B flats all sounding the same. And his advice is that's wrong. This B flat should be, you can put that hole wherever you want, make it as big or as small as you want. So that on design is perfect. The long B flat or biz B flat is a compromise because you've got A, C, the B, and the B flat. So all that key there has got numerous jobs to do. So it's an interesting point when you're trying to sax out, how do the different B flats sound? Side key should be perfect. If you work with it, you'll get them to sound the same. The F sharp sort of B flat there, long one, sounds more open. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the G sharp, do the same on that dome, the cork touch point, and then work on the F sharp and the F to make sure they're balancing right. Because again, as I said, the owner wasn't happy that he felt like he was getting a break point on the E and the D. So that's more likely where that is being caused as well. So a little bit of a redo means I've got to adjust the whole lot. But hey, that's the joy of setting a sax up. Okay, so I've made the adjustment to the G sharp. So there, I've got the cork domed on that adjuster. True to form, as soon as I've made that adjustment, it's then kicked these out there. Like I say, the F wasn't very good. I've made some slight adjustments to that, heated the pad up. Hope it was kicking I here, and so was the F sharp on this side, which sometimes means that the adjustment cork on the back end here is too thick. So this is like if you pick up a cheap Chinese horn, they always leave them squashy so that you have to squeeze down, and then that actually makes the F sharp close down. Obviously I'm aiming to get a nice light finger ploppy sound. That's not to say it's good, but it is a good indicator. They could go down just a little bit more, but again, if I get these dead level, then I'm running, sort of like by adjusting these, I'm running the risk of this then not seating. So I'm happy with it the way I've got it to at the moment. The long B flat. Is set, the G sharp's closing nice and staying down. tone, everything's got that big fat Mark 6 sound. Like I say, the other guy's horn it was playing for years on a Con 10M, so he's used to that big sound. So what I'm going to try and do now, I think now, is I'm just going to clamp down a little bit of heat on these, clamp them down and just leave them overnight, just to hopefully just seat the pads a little bit deeper maybe, to take up any more slight sort of leakage that there is there. It is fine. If I had a heavy-handed player, you squeeze in hard, that's not going to be a problem, but I like to get them set as delicately. You know, this guy can bop with the rest as well, so it's like I want to get it nice and right and set right, so he's got the confidence in it. But I think all I'm going to do now is squeeze them down just a little bit, heat the pads up a little bit, the cups up a little bit, and then just leave it, and then come back to it tomorrow and play tomorrow and see how it's done. Now I can crack on with what I'm going to do next, Kielworth. That's the next one that's got to be done. Right, so the Selmer SBA, we believe it's an SBA. Like I say, the numbers are M547. You can get an age on that. So it's all back together, all just finished unclamping it, and I think it's playing lovely. The thing is, having the luxury of having 3 different vintage horns. So if you're on like the Holy Grail of Selmer, and the King Super, and then the lesser model, you know, the Kielworth would be buying now would be, you know, a third of the price of the King, more likely, you know, even a fourth or a fifth of the price of this beastie. You do get to realise the difference of the horns, and I think the differences then were much greater maybe than what they are now when you play, you know, sort of top make horns. This thing, it just feels lovely, and it just feels lovely under the fingers. It blows a lot free. Again, I'm still using it on the Tone Master mouthpiece, but even subtoning that bottom B flat, it's softer, but it's still full, and you can see maybe why these Selmer, for, you know, at this time and for a few decades after that, were why they got the top end of the market. They deserved it. These are great saxes. I say, it feels really nice under the fingers. It plays silky smooth, free blowing, and just good, sturdy, well built, well designed horn. So really pleased with this one, and I hope the owner's going to be pleased with it when he gets it back, because yeah, it's just lovely.